Well, welcome everyone. We really appreciate you being here. We are going to be talking about caring for the caregiver. And to our audience online, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to share this with others and share the link as well. And maybe others can sign on a little later. We do have our friends here who are present, and we might be getting some other people trickling in. But I really hope that this is a lot of information for you, and again, a way to get connected to the services that you might need as caregivers, or that others who you know might need as caregivers. Okay? So let's get started. I'm Marta Rañón. I've actually... Oh, pretty much all of you. That's great. So I think that there'll be a lot that you might agree with and maybe you have experience. I do want to make this interactive, so please feel free to share. It's not easy. I think we could all agree. And it's something that we do because we, love that person, we care for that person, right? None of us, I don't think, grew up saying, oh, I can't wait till I'm the caregiver, right? And I can't wait till I have to drop everything to care for this person. I don't think any of us grew up thinking that. We just kind of fall into that role. We step into the role. We care so much about that person. So I get it. I've been in that situation, and we can share stories. You know, it's up to you how much you want to share. But today I wanted to talk about caring for the caregiver. And the reason for that, everything that we do around here incorporates an aspect of self-care. And I think that as caregivers, there's so much that we do that sometimes we forget about us, right? And so how do we make sure that we don't forget about each other, that we don't forget about us, but that we continue doing the work that we're doing? So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about who is a caregiver, identify what it means to be a caregiver, and types of caregiving roles that exist, and then offer ways to assisting others as well as, how do we help ourselves? And so everything's kind of interwoven in this topic. So let me share with you this quote. Have you seen that before? It says there are 4 kinds of people in this world. Those who have been caregivers, those who currently are caregivers, so a lot of you, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. This is by former First Lady Rosalind Carter. And if you think about it, this pretty much is us, right, on a continuum for all of our lives. Because some of us have already been caregivers, and maybe we will need caregivers. But if we don't identify with that term, how are we going to seek services that are for caregivers, right? And the reason why I say that is because sometimes we really forget what it is to be a caregiver. So with here, I want to ask you, what does it mean to be a caregiver? Just shout it out. What does it mean to you? Be on hand, be kind of ready to go, help, okay? What else? Feel free to just shout it out if you want. Food purchaser. Yes. So kind of taking care of the needs of others. Right? Oops. Is that better? Great. So it can mean a lot. One more thing. What does it mean? Driver? Chauffeur. How do we know we are caregivers? Let me put it this way. How many of you have had children? A parent is a caregiver. A parent takes care of their children. But we don't walk around saying we are caregivers, right? We might walk around saying, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, but we are caregivers. How many of you care for the well-being of your spouse, your partner? Do you walk around saying, I'm a caregiver? No, I'm just going to care for my spouse. So really defining the term caregiver can mean so many things. So we have, professional caregivers, right? And those are the people that are what? Nurses, doctors, social workers, counselors, right? Those are what we consider the professional caregiver. What am I missing? Teachers, therapists, right? So all of those can be considered, and I think I'm missing one more, home care workers, right? What is a family caregiver? Daughter. What else? I gave you some clues earlier. Sister, a friend, a colleague. I mean, we talked about the relatives, right? The daughter, the son, the mom, the dad. But there's so much more that it could include caregivers. So family caregivers right here, right? So children, grandchildren, right? Friends, colleagues, neighbors, right? I have neighbors who care for each other. I live in an older community, and you can see people helping out each other, which is great. But it's not your typical, oh, I'm the relative, so I'm going to care for that person. So it's really people like you and me. And I asked earlier who was a caregiver, and pretty much all of you raised your hand, so you already identify with that term. Okay, so people like you and me. How much professional training have you had to be family caregivers? No? Whole life, right? Right, yeah, whole life, pretty much. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the different types of caregivers. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I was once I was doing a presentation, and this person came up to me and he says, "Oh, my sister is caring for my mom full time." And I said, because I had asked him if he was a caregiver, and he said, "No, my sister's the one that's caring full time for my mom. I just go a couple of times a year to help my sister and to help my mom." Guess what? That's caregiving. Yes, but he didn't identify with that. So I was trying to give him services and brochures and information, but he's like, no, that's for my sister. So it's really important to identify that family caregivers can be full-time caregivers. Are you all full-time caregivers, 24/7? Some of you are, okay. Part-time caregivers. And by part-time, I mean people that maybe are caregiving in the evenings, in the mornings, on the weekends, maybe once a month, just depends, right? So not full-time, or maybe you visit every day, but it's not like you're doing the 24/7 work. So that's what we would consider part-time caregiving. Long-distance caregiving, like the name says, right? Long distance. We help here at SCRC, we help people who are caring for the well-being of somebody else. That is, even if the person is far away. So if you are here in San Diego County, we can help you. It doesn't matter if your mom, who needs the help, is in another state. Okay? So that can be long distance, but long distance could also be within the county, right? If you live in North County and the person that you're caring for lives in South County, how often are you going to make that trip, right? From Vista to Chula Vista, it's about an hour. Traffic, it's a long time, right? So you might not be doing that every day. So you might be doing it long distance, right? And now with technology, and now with all of these other gadgets that we have, we don't have to do the hands-on every day. We can make the calls, right? We can make appointments online. We can talk to people over the phone. So what it is true, though, is that a lot of times caregivers experience what? Burnout, stress. How stressful are you right now? Are you pretty stressful right now? Is this your respite? As a caregiver, how stressful is that for you? Very stressful. Why?
Constantly on the go.
Constantly go, yes.
It's very stressful.
You're on, right? You're 24/7, yes.
Yeah, always planning schedules, or have to rearrange schedules and stuff like that.
To accommodate the person you're caring for, yes. Prioritize. and you keep prioritizing and reprioritizing, right?
Right.
Multitasking, yes. So you're constantly shifting gears, right? So that can be very stressful. How many of you feel like that? I feel like that sometimes, right? And that can be attributed to not only caregiving, but to work, raising children. You know, maybe your spouse drives you crazy, right? Or whatever it is, you know. We feel like this often. What it's important to do is to recognize that stress and find ways to help you as the caregiver, okay? Because walking around with stress, yes, it's a normal part of life. We all have different levels of stress that we walk with, but it doesn't have to be to the point that it's so overwhelming, yes, because then you're going to be like that picture, right? So how do we help you? If I asked you right now, how do you want me to help you, what would you say? Don't say $1 million, because I can't help you there. Not Rockefeller. Yes.
Getting help, having somebody else come in there, relieve me for a couple hours.
Okay, so you would like some respite, right? And not even to be on an island, but maybe just to do your things, okay? How else would you want somebody to help you? What's that? Advice, yes. What do you do in this situation, right? How do I prioritize? What's more important? Everything's important, right? How else can we help each other? Well, it's important to really, as ourselves, put ourselves in the shoes of the person that we're caring for, but also to really figure out, if I wanted to offer help, what could I offer the help in? So that if I asked Joe, and I said, Joe, what would you like me to help you with? It's easier if we have an idea of what we want the people that are asking, what we can give them. Why is that, you think? How easy do you think it's going to be for somebody to say, here's mom, take mom. Great, don't worry. I'll take her for a week. How often does that happen? Never, right? Or dad or whoever you're caring for. So no one's going to take what I consider the whole package, right? So we really need to break it down. What could we have people help us with that is manageable? So I'm going to help you how to figure that out in a little bit, okay? So in terms of getting assistance, it's important to validate our concerns, right? Our stress. I love mom, but she's driving me crazy. Dad keeps asking me the same question over and over and over, and I can't handle it anymore. What's going on? Those are valid concerns, right? That is normal. So what we need to do is we need to help us increase our knowledge, right? Why do you think he's repeating himself so often? What is happening, right? Maybe we need to get a doctor's opinion to find out do some testing. Oh, memory loss, dementia. Okay, well, what does that mean? What does it look like? What are some of the symptoms? How do I manage those symptoms? Is there medication? Right? So that way you can start figuring out how to help that person. Understand the behaviors. If the person, how many of you are caring for someone with memory loss or dementia? Okay, so is the person at the point that they're repeating or asking you the same question over? See, and you went like this, right? Because I know, and it's okay. It's frustrating, right? Because you just explained, no, it's 1 o'clock, it's not 3 o'clock in the morning, or my name is Joe, and I'm your son. I already explained that to you. So we really need to understand, why is that person asking us this? Is it to get to us? Is it to annoy us? Or is there something going on neurologically? Okay? Identifying the needs is what I was talking about earlier, which we will be doing. We're going to do a little exercise. and then offering support and accepting support is the key. Because what I come across is a lot of caregivers, and myself included. I was in this position where I wanted to be super caregiver, right? I can do it all. I know, and I used to care for my great aunt who had dementia. And I knew what she liked, I knew what she didn't like, I knew what she was going to wear and how she was going to put it on and when I was going to drive her and when the best time to do certain things. So I was the one that needed to do everything. What do you think happened to me? Burnout, right? Stressed, out of control because it's too much. You were saying what you were doing, kind of anticipating the next step. I haven't even lived that step and I'm already anticipating that step. So it is a lot to worry about. So then we need to figure out how are we going to do this. So some of the 5 steps that I wanted to share with you. Okay, ready to move on to the next one? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. First, we're going to try to identify stress. So if I give you a ball of stress, what does it look like to you? And I want you to start thinking. When you feel stressed, what do you feel like? Where do you feel it? So you're talking about physical stress then. You're feeling it in your back. Right here, the shoulders. Right here, right? We carry the world, the weight of the world on our shoulders. Okay. So you're talking about physical stress. What else does it feel? How does it feel when we feel stress physically? Exhausting? Anybody get headaches? No? Some of you do? I get headaches. What else? How else do you know that you're stressed? Anxious? Anxiety. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it's important to identify it in our bodies is because our bodies are really adept at figuring out what's going on, right? Before we even realize it. Think about when you're hungry. Your belly is rumbling, right? And you have these like hunger pains, and then you realize, oh, I should probably go eat, right? But our bodies are the ones that are telling us we need to listen to our bodies. Emotional. What are some signs of emotional stress that we feel? Mm-hmm. Crying. Yes, that's the one I was looking for, short fuse, right? Wow, I can't even tell you anything. You're chewing my head off, right? Everything's like, don't bother me, right? You put up your walls. How about behavioral? What are some signs of where stress is affecting our behavior beyond the short fuse? How about some maladaptive coping mechanisms? You know, drinking too much or indulging in things for, a lot more than we usually should. Once in a while is okay, but not excessively to cope, right? So those are things that if we start noticing that in ourselves, those are signs. Those are signs. Or if we notice it in the people that we are with, those are also signs. Social. How about social? How does stress affect us socially?
You don't want to get involved in everything because it's just, it's going to all fall on you and you got to do it.
Yes.
You're being an introvert.
You're being an introvert. So I used to invite Joe all the time to parties, and he was the first to come to the parties. And he would just dance on the tables, totally making it up, Joe. Just kidding. But, and now we invite Joe, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. And he gives me a lot of excuses why he doesn't want to go. And it gets to the point where what? I'm not even going to bother inviting Joe. He's going to say no anyway. So now what's going to happen? He's going to become even further isolated, which is totally not what we want, because he doesn't want to even deal with it. So we need to avoid all of those things. It's okay to identify the stress and know, okay, I need a break. I need some respite, right? I need somebody to step in and help me. But that's why it's important to identify. Okay? So I just want to make sure that, we know this. Increase your knowledge about the person that you are caring for. If it is dementia, if it is memory loss, is that what it is, right? Talk to the doctor. Talk about the methods to lessen some of the symptoms. Maybe there is medication. Maybe there's some sort of therapy. Maybe there's just better understanding of what's going to happen. Not everybody exhibits the same symptoms, but maybe you can, oh, that's what might be causing it. That's why he's doing this or she's doing that. Okay? And that way you're better able to respond to what's happening. Instead of, I see a lot of times caregivers, and I remember this one in particular. The lady was the caregiver was caring for her mother, and her mother wasn't able to chew, but she couldn't verbalize this. So as she's eating, and she's sitting down, she's eating, and she's kind of smacking, her mouth, and so the caregiver is getting really annoyed and frustrated. And says, Mom, stop doing that. It's so embarrassing. They were, in a public place. And the lady couldn't stop that. She couldn't eat. It had to do with her dentures, but she couldn't explain that. So it is frustrating. Obviously it required a visit to the dentist and to maybe make some changes and arrangements and adaptations. But this is why it's important to know more about what's happening with that person. Okay. So what I recommend for caregivers is a way to identify behavior so we can know what happens before and after. So when did this behavior start happening? So you want to give me an example of a behavior that you've dealt with that maybe is a little challenging? No judgment. Yes?
From a long distance point of view, my mom's asking when she's coming home.
When she's coming home.
Right. So.
And you keep explaining to her
that she's living with my sister for as long as it takes.
Is it out of town?
It's Kentucky.
Kentucky, okay. So she wants to come home, but that's not an option. That's not going to be an option. Okay. So then when is this happening? Is this happening around the time that maybe she expects people to be home? Maybe she's missing you, but she can't verbalize this. She obviously is not aware that this is the situation. I don't know if there's dementia or anything involved. But sometimes it takes more than just realizing what is happening in that immediate vicinity. So if she's saying, I had a couple of, to give an example, I had a story from a caregiver who said that her mom would start get very kind of nostalgic towards the evening. And she would be very much start asking questions. Well, when is your dad going to get home? I have to get dinner ready. And you're just here visiting, she would tell the daughter. You're here, and that's great, but you're kind of taking my time. I really need to go and start making dinner. Dad's going to be home. She was at an assisted living facility, and the daughter was there visiting. So she said, Mom, Dad died. So she now had to relive the death because in her mind, she thought she was back when, years back when she would have to make dinner. So sometimes it's maybe the hour, the time frame during the day when people start kind of missing certain individuals, or maybe the routine that in their mind makes sense. It's dinner time, so I need to cook. So it's important that as caregivers, we need to kind of start realizing when are these behaviors happening so that we can plan ahead, like you were saying, and redirect or get other people involved or be ready with another activity that would kind of take away the focus from, I need to make dinner, Dad's coming home. Okay? So here's an example of a grid that I have that you can use or you can make your own to kind of mark when these things are happening. And it could be as precise as, it's happening at 6 a.m., it's happening at 6 p.m., it's happening at, during the midday. It's happening when family is here or when people are here. It's happening when nobody's visiting. When are these things happening? So then that you can plan accordingly. And maybe during that time, if that's what's happening on a regular basis with Mom, then maybe your sister can be ready to redirect if that's what's happening, let's say in the evening, with another activity. Because it doesn't matter how much you explain to her that she's not coming home. That might get her sad which I think it might be happening, that, Mom, you're not coming home. You're living here, permanently. And it's like, when did that happen, right? I didn't decide that. So rather than doing that, maybe be ready with another activity. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So the key is to try to, and what I tell caregivers is to have this invisible bag of tools, caregiving tools that are going to help you. So you can try it again and again until it reaches the goal that is intended. So for example, if you figured out, okay, so Mom is asking, it's the evening, she wants to visit, and now you say, okay, I'm going to anticipate this is what's happening. We're going to do another activity. Hey, guess what, sister, it worked. Or brother, it worked. Do you think it might work again tomorrow? Maybe. Be prepared for maybe, maybe not. So now what are you going to do, right? What's plan B and C and D, right? So you just kind of keep doing that until you figure out what works. And other people might have other options. Maybe it's during that time that you decide we're going to do a little walk around the house or the building or the park. And then that way it takes away the focus of how come I'm not home. Okay? Okay. So here's one of the examples that I wanted to do with you. And since you're all pretty much caregivers, I'm hoping that this will help you. So here's a list of some of the needs that you might have. Is this a pretty accurate list? Feel free to shout out what I'm missing. What am I missing? You said food shopper, grocery shopper, right? What else am I missing? How about entertainer? All right. What else? Think of all the things that you do. All the things that you do. This is a very short list. Yard work. Housework, yes. Yes. Paying the bills, anybody? Right? What else? Entertainment, yes. Jobs, your other job, your out of home job, yes. So think for yourself now. I want you to think of 3 activities that you would mostly need assistance with. Okay? That if I tell you right now, hey, I can find some help for you. What are those top 3 things that you would want help with? Look at you. You're writing like a long list. What are the top 3 things? I just said top 3. I'm sure there are more.
So we have an online comment.
Okay.
That says that SCRC has given her a great toolbox with this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Do you have your 3? You said respite earlier, so write that down. Anybody need help running errands? Anybody need help with transportation? Visiting the doctor? Taking the person that you're caring for to the doctor? I mean, there's so much that you do as caregivers. So much. Got your list? Got your list? Okay. So now, next to that list, did you rank them maybe 1, 2, 3? 1 being the one that you wish you had the most help with. Okay? Anybody want to share what those activities were? Share your number 1.
Mine was figuring out all the medical insurance and billing and
Documents, legal documents. Yes, yes, which is so much. Absolutely. That's a good one. What else?
for me, transportation.
Transportation, okay. One more. Hi, come on in. Come on in.
Food and drug shopping.
Food and drug shop. By drugs, you mean medication. Okay, good. So let's go with those, okay? And I'm going to start with the medication, just from experience. When I was caring for my aunt had a regimen of about 13 pills a day that she needed to take. So you can imagine how quickly we needed to get refills, right? At the time, I was actually working on top of a pharmacy. So how difficult was that, right? I mean, I had to go up the stairs so I could easily pass the pharmacy and get the prescriptions. Easier said than done, right? Because I was working full time. I was caring for my aunt full time. I had a small child. Forget the dog and the husband, right? So even though the pharmacy was right there, I often would forget to pick up the prescription. So then I would get home and then guess what? Now I have to drive and go get the prescription, right? The medication that she needed for that day. This was happening a lot. So I needed help with that. What could I have done? Get it by mail, which I didn't even know about. So by doing that, I eliminated the step, the burden of having to go. I just called, I got it set up, they got all the necessary information, and guess what? Without fail, these medications would arrive at my doorstep, and I would have them ready. So there you go. Hopefully that works. Yes. Food shopping. Food shopping. As much as we say, I'm just going to pick up a couple of things really quick on my way home or on my way to work, it's never that quick and easy, right? There's just so many things. But now there's so many delivery systems. They even have a meal prep where you can get those boxes and you cook at home and all of that. My neighbors actually do that. So there are those options that you could have. Now, to take it a step further, if the person that you are caring for can no longer cook for themselves and you are unable to cook for them because maybe you're long distance or you're part-time, there are some organizations that will deliver meals to that individual. And you can prearrange it so that then they have a meal that they don't have to cook, and they also get a visit from somebody, and they are kind of doing a welfare check. And because you're the caregiver, they'll let you know. You know what, I noticed that mom had a little bit of a cough, so you might just FYI. Or, she's running low on this, and she mentioned it, so I just FYI. So that's another way to kind of get connected and get those services to that person, okay? To go back to your first one, which was the legal documents and all of that, if you're not aware, here at SCRC, we partner with elder law attorneys who will walk you through the steps of all of the legal documents, all the legal questions that you might have. Long-term care, Medi-Cal, Medicare. Do I need to sell all of my assets to place mom or dad or whoever it is that you're caring for in long-term, home placement? Those are all valid questions that you might have. They talk about these essential documents that I need to have as a caregiver. I don't know what a healthcare directive is. How do I even get that filled out, right? So those are valid questions. We will pay for that initial consultation so that you can ask all of those questions to these elder law attorneys, and they can help you with figuring out everything. So that's another resource for you.
I went to your conference a couple of weeks ago.
On the 2nd?
It was great.
Oh, wonderful.
It was really helpful.
Oh, did you? I didn't see you.
I came late.
Oh, okay.
You know I make my rounds.
Yes, you do.
That's why I said you fast.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
Good. And now you can still, if you are, and maybe we can talk later, we can connect you even further to get those questions answered, okay? But this is why we're here. We are here so that we can connect you to help to the services that you need, the resources. Yes, yes, yes. Okay? So what I want you to do is next to each of your top 3 items that you wrote down, then I want you to write down the name of the person that you might, notice how I'm using my words correctly, whom you might ask to help you with that activity. And the reason why I say that is because you don't know how they're going to react, right? They might say yes, or they might say no. If they say yes, I am going to help Bob with grocery shopping. Great. I'm going to put that person, I have their number or their contact info, and we're just going to set it up every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever it is. But maybe Bob calls his friend, and his friend says, yeah, you know, I would love to help you, but I just have this thing, you know, and all these other things, and what do you think he's going to say, or she? Probably not, right? That's okay. Don't put them on the list. Don't ask them for that kind of help. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build a list of a network of care for you as the caregiver. So as you expand on this list, what else do I need? Who else can I call? That might change, right? Maybe somebody might say, you know what? I can't go grocery shopping for you, but what if when I make food, I make you extra? And I just take it over to you. For you and Dad. Great. That works. You know, that's one meal I don't have to worry about. So you might have to, like I said, really think of who you can include in your network of care, because you can't do it alone. As much as we want to do it alone, I'm sure you could if you really wanted to, but do you really want to walk around like that, you know, the screaming baboon, right? We really want to make sure that you are creating a more structured network of care to help you, okay? And remember, nobody's going to say, "I'll just take care of Mom all by my," you know, the whole package. And this is also a way for you to give little bits and pieces of tasks that are easy for people. You talked about yard work earlier, right? That's something that gets neglected because it's not that crucial, but it's still piling up. So then maybe you hire somebody to do that. And it could be a professional company, or you can give the teenager down the street a couple of bucks to mow the lawn. You know, and that way it gets done. You don't have to worry about it, and you can focus on other things, okay? And in keeping in mind what that lady said, that tool bag, you know, of tools and tips that we gave this person was helpful, we want you to leave with the same feeling, okay? So don't be afraid to ask for help, and to ask for help in places that you might not even consider. So, for example, community resources. So, you know, we'll talk about our services later, but this is a good community resource that you can ask for help. Support groups, classes, conferences, workshops. You went to the conference on November 2nd, which is hopefully connected with people and got information. Aging independent services, churches, social groups, you know, your colleagues. Maybe you found a colleague that is also going through the same situation. Senior centers. Yes. The local Y sometimes. Resources. So expanding that assistance. Also keeping in mind that there are things you cannot change. You cannot change the fact that the person that you're caring for needs help, right? That they're aging, that they're frail, that they might have a chronic and debilitating condition. You can't change that. But you can change how you approach that situation. So if we go back to how we were feeling stressed, why is it that you're feeling stressed? Because it's too much? Well, then let's piecemeal it out and get help through our network of care so we don't feel burdened. Right? That's not the way we want to be. We don't want to always just be a walking ball of stress. We want to make sure that we enjoy the rest of, our lives and our families and those around us. Okay? So I'm going to go. Are there questions? No? Or do you have any questions before I keep going? Is this helpful? Mm-hmm. So how many of you have been connected to SCRC? One. Okay. So then let me talk to you about the services, because I want you to know what the services here are, that we offer. Okay. So if you're caring for someone who is an adult, so someone over 18 with a cognitive impairment, like we mentioned dementia, or for a frail and elderly adult over 60 who needs assistance with at least 2 activities of daily living, like bathing and driving or cooking, that qualifies, then give us a call, because we will pair you up. We will do an assessment on you. We're the only organization that focuses on you as a caregiver. So what is going on with you? What is your situation like? What can we do for you? Okay? And then we will pair you up with one of our care managers, family consultants. They're licensed clinical workers, master's level clinicians. But we don't call them social workers, because who wants to be paired up with a social worker? We want to pair you up with a care manager, right? And what they do is they will work with you, hold your hand through this whole caregiving journey with anything that you might possibly need, depending on your situation. So you might say, I want to know more about this memory loss dementia thing you were talking about. I think my mom has that. What is that? So we have resources. You saw the library. We have fact sheets, really quick 2-sided pages of information that can kind of start helping you figuring out what's going on. We have counseling sessions. If you have insurance, you can use your counseling sessions through that insurance company. But we also have free counseling for 6 sessions through our licensed clinical social workers. Legal and financial is what I was talking about earlier. We pair up and we partner with elder law attorneys. So any question, you saw a glimpse of that conference, they will talk about all of those things more in depth with you based on your personal situation. Because every situation is different. And some people might just have very general questions. Other people might have very specific questions. So talking to them direct, and we'll pay for that consultation, so you don't have to worry about it. Respite Care. So you were talking about, right? So if you're a client of ours and you want to, what is it that you would like to do with your Respite Care? So you can go shopping. How nice is that, right? An hour, 2 hours, whatever you need. If you're a client, we will offer that to you. Talking with the family consultant. Right? Because your needs are different. Sometimes caregivers will say, my daughter's getting married in Florida, so I want to go visit, but I can't leave Dad by himself here because he's got dementia. I guess I'm going to miss my daughter's wedding. Well, you don't have to do that. We can arrange for respite care so that somebody can stay with Dad, or you can place Dad at a facility while you go to the wedding, and then you come back, and then you can continue caring for your dad. Okay? It just depends on the situation. We have several support groups throughout San Diego County, and this is what's great about the support groups is that they're both in English and Spanish throughout the community, and it's pretty much like this, where you kind of meet other people who are caregivers, might learn from them, might share some experiences that might help, and guess what? You are increasing your network of care. You're increasing that level of support. Now you're talking to this person and that person, and you kind of look forward to meeting these people on a weekly or monthly basis, whatever it is. And maybe you might do things outside of the support group, and now you have another group of friends to help you. Okay? Education and training is what we do here, these classes. And I want to bring your attention to this form, and I think you all might have this flyer. They look different, but one is 2018, and we only have one more class, which is December 12th, and we're going to be focusing on successful bath time. And it's here at 10 o'clock, so if you want to come, you want to bring a friend, let them know. We also have the 2019 calendar. So if you need a 2019 calendar, maybe you can give them, get copies. We're going to start in January sorting through the healthcare documents. We will be talking about 5 different documents that might help you as a caregiver, how to fill them out, how to go step by step through them. So we'll be doing that. And as you can see the list, it just kind of goes on different topics through June. Okay? Now, oftentimes we have events, we have conferences, we have workshops. Here's one we have coming up on March 8th, and it's for military and veteran families. And sometimes you'll see classes, we'll do workshops, and we'll have flyers, so make sure you get those copies. Employer resources for those of you that are in that kind of sandwich generation, working full-time, but also a caregiver. We can come to your place of employment. So if you know, if your bosses are interested in having us come in and talk about caregiving topics so that the people who are working don't necessarily have to leave, but maybe during lunchtime, let us know because we can go in and do that. Reach to Caregivers is a program that's specifically designed for people who are caring for someone with dementia, Alzheimer's disease, or memory loss. So if you fall under that category, do not leave without talking to my colleague right here, Rosario, because she will sign you up for those classes. They're wonderful classes that show you how to manage those symptoms, how to be prepared, include self-care, and they're really wonderful. The idea is that your depression, your stress levels are lessened once you have a better understanding of what's happening with the person who's suffering from Alzheimer's disease, dementia, or memory loss. So make sure you talk to my colleague before you leave. And then Operation Family Caregiver is for military and veteran families. It's a program that's also designated or designed to really maintain the family unit through understanding for someone who's caring, for caregivers who are caring for someone with traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, some sort of a physical disability sustained during conflict or not. And my colleague Jessica is here, and she can talk to you about that program. So all of these resources and more, I mean, we have podcasts, we have 1-minute tip videos. If you haven't seen them already, go to our website, because since you're all very busy, you know, we have these wonderful things, right? So what you can do is they take a minute, and you can just log in and watch a video for a minute and get some tips on different topics. And that way you can share it with others, or you can come back to it later, and hopefully is of assistance. So that concludes our presentation. Are there any questions? Anything you want to share? Was this helpful? Yeah. Yes? Yeah. Good. Any other questions online? Jessica? No? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much, and thank you to our friends online for sharing and asking questions. And hopefully, again, you can watch it later, or you can share the link with someone. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.